Welcome to New York City Health and Hospitals KingsCounty YouTube podcast. I'm Antoinette Williamson, the Senior Director of EVS.
And I'm Geraldo, Acevedo, the Director of EVS.
And
we're taking over this episode.
Today we'll be discussing what is our healthy work-life balance.
So I believe it's really important for us to understand how to separate both work and home. It's difficult for a lot of people in many ways, but I think it's important for us to do so. There are many things I do to help separate both work and my home life. One of the things I do, more importantly, is I love to work out. I'm one of those people call gym rats, right? I'm one of those people that love to work out as many days as I can possibly do. But one of the things I do with that workout is I always leave my cell phone in the locker room. It's the only time of the day that I am unreachable by phone. I think it's important for us to be able to separate and be able to detach so that we can both work on our minds and anything else. It's important for us to be able to separate ourselves from work because we're at work more than we're at home. We're at work more than we're with our families. We're always working, whether we're not working. On Sundays, we're prepping for work because the next day, Monday morning, we have to go to work. So essentially, we're always reachable. We have our work phones, we have our emails, we have our text messages, and it's important for us to understand that you have to be able to detach. One of the things I learned from one of my previous mentors was when you're at work, be at work, but when you're at home, be home. You know, being able to be on vacation, but be on vacation. Don't check in at work. Don't carry your work phone with you. Don't check in your emails. It's really, really difficult to do, but I think it's important. It's important because it allows you to be refreshed when you come back to work. It allows you to separate, forget, and come back 100% instead of continuously thinking about work, calling in, checking your emails. It's like you never left. So you don't really detach, you don't really come back refreshed because you're always got work on your mind. It's important for us to separate the two. It's important for us to be able to take the time for ourselves. That's what vacation days are for. They're for you to be on vacation and not to be working. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called vacation days. It'd be work days. So it's really, really important for us to do so. I think it's in this day and age with the heightened sensitivity around mental health, I think it's important for everyone's mental health, which ultimately leads to a better work environment. If you can come back refreshed, you work better, you work stronger. I tell our staff all the time, when you're at lunch, be at lunch. Go for a walk. Go outside. Take a breath of fresh air. Go have lunch on the grass. I think it's important.
I know, I'm shaking my head as you're talking because I don't know what that life is. That's a really hard balance for me. One, being a single mom. My child knows that, oh, Mom, you're always working. When I'm here all the time, Geraldo knows. I hear this work-life balance and don't answer the phone calls on vacation, but I speak to them on vacation. It doesn't matter where I'm at. I've been on the plane, and I'll call you as soon as I land, or I'm literally on vacation. Okay, give me 5 minutes. Let me pull out my laptop. I don't think I go anywhere without my laptop. My phone's on 24/7. I kind of sleep right next to it, and because when I don't answer the phone, that's not one time. It's like there's an explosion and you're responsible for whatever is happening, I think. So it's very hard for me to not answer the phone. Then something happens and I'm not available, or I could have, would have, should have, right? So what I've gotten good at is when I'm with my child, though, to say, hey, I need a minute. Like everyone knows when there's like a football game, he plays sports, like those 2 hours, when there's something going on with him that's really important, I try to block that area out, but they all know. The entire team knows, hey, I'm going to be gone for these 2 hours because I got to do something with my child. But other than that, I'm working on that. And then being here, everyone expects you to pick up the phone all the time. It doesn't really matter what's going on. It's like, hey, I'm sorry. And the people are calling you are doing the same thing. They're home with their kids, but we're all I've gotten home and the phones rang so much where they've been like, just go back to work because it makes no sense for you to be here anymore because you're just keep on answering the phones, and if you don't go, so we're in a different space there. I'm getting there, working on it.
And I think that's something that everyone works through. You know, we all have difficulties, whether it's as you are a single mom and I have family obligations as well. I think it's important, again, that we focus on ourselves. I always tell everybody, you're number one. If you can't be good for yourself, then you're not going to be good for anyone else. It's difficult when you're in senior leadership to disconnect, because the assumption is that you're always going to answer and you're always going to resolve the issue. We work in a hospital. We're 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. The hospital doesn't close. But it's good for us that we have each other, for Antoinette and I. We can bounce off of each other. She can say, hey, Geraldo, I'm going to disconnect. And I know that I have to step up. Same way where I can say, hey, Antoinette, I'm not going to be available for the next hour or two. She understands that she's going to have to take those calls. So we have the benefit of having each other to work off of each other and bounce off of each other.
Mm-hmm. That's important in partnership, of understanding our strengths and our weaknesses, because, you know, having someone that you work with that knows what's important and what your vision is and where you're trying to get the team to be, so that we're always in the same space. And if you don't have that, that could be really hard. Like I said, we're working on it, and it takes a lot of trust in not like managing your team. So we are trying to work on building the team to the place that we don't have to be here all the time, and always trying to think you can fix everything, or allowing others to lead, right? I was at a meeting last week and I was off site. And my boss, I was like, I need to call in because I think Geraldo wasn't here. We had a new manager on site, and she said, you trained him, so trust him, right? Walk away. You trained him, so trust him. He can handle it. And he did. And it was a big step for me, but I came back and everything was fine. And, you know, there were no fires to put out, but now I can trust him again for the second time and the third time. So that would be my first tip. Trust the people under you. Trust that you've trained them to do the job and they understand the vision and the message that you want to put across when you're not here. All right?
I feel that another really good tip would be to, again, set time apart, specific time slot. Like, this is the time with my family, like Antoinette does. This is my time to work out, which is what I do. I love to ski. Another thing other than working out, I love to ski. And when I'm skiing, you will not reach me. I'm on a mountain 13,000 feet above sea level in some part of the country, you know, enjoying myself. And it's important to enjoy yourself when it's time to enjoy yourself.
Still working on that. Still working on that. I was in Costa Rica last year and I had my laptop, right? I was fortunate to never have to really use it, but just in case something's happening, I'd rather pick up the phone and answer the question than say I did not answer the question and I could have, should have, and now I'm being in a reactive space. So there's I guess balance for peace of mind. You know, I'm not going to do all the legwork, but I don't mind picking up the phone. It gives me more peace that I picked up the phone, that I answered your question, and I can move on with my day or do a daily check-in. And the third, I think another tip would just be, there's no fire. Like, the day will continue. Mm-hmm. The day will continue. Yeah. Sometimes we think it's the most important thing, but it's not always. Like, someone else will be able to do it. Thank you all for joining us. Once again, I'm Antoinette Williamson.
And I'm Geraldo Acevedo.
And we'll see you on the next episode.